Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they know they shall not sit. This proverb captures the essence of sacred masculinity. But what exactly does sacred masculinity look like, and how can it be achieved? This is what this podcast series is all about. Hello, and welcome to the introductory episode of the Bring Him Home Sacred Masculinity Rising podcast. Our time and space to explore principles, writings, and experiences of what it looks like to embody the sacred masculine. My name is Miguel Dean, and I'm the author of Bring Him Home, a twin flame love story. This is my true story of a conscious, passionate and loving relationship with an extraordinary woman, and how it played a significant role in the rising of my own sacred masculinity. My intention is that through sharing my personal love story in the book and creating this podcast series, I will catalyse the divine twin flame union within the hearts of many men and women, so that we can create a more beautiful world for our children and the generations to come. You can find out more about my book and the rest of my work at my website, migueldean.net. So, what or who is the sacred masculine? So my belief is that without the sacred, all masculinity is essentially incomplete, because we're not encompassing the whole picture. The word sacred is often described as connected to God. Although for many people the word God may seem maybe a little bit loaded. So maybe that you replace the word God with consciousness or great spirit or whatever works for you. But for me, the word God is okay, so I will use that word. And sacred masculinity is connected to our realization that there is more going on in this life than what we can perceive with our senses. There is a deep knowing that everything is interconnected, that as I do to another, I do to myself, because in truth there really is no other. It's just the limitations of our senses that create the illusion of separateness. The sacred part for me is this knowing, this understanding that my lifetime, this birth and this death, is just one small little chapter in a much bigger book, a much bigger story of my infinite eternal soul. So it's about really deepening into that oneness, that connection with all life, and that connection with each other. Perhaps a good way of sort of expanding this introduction to what sacred masculinity is the idea of the twin trails, which is a simple philosophy that it frames a lot of my own work in the world and my work within myself, which is essentially what the twin trails is all about. If you imagine that in our lifetime we're always walking two journeys. One trail takes us deep inside ourselves, and it's that journey of self-exploration, it's that journey of self-awareness, it's that journey of healing our inner wounds, and that journey of really getting to know ourselves and bringing that union and that completeness within our own hearts. The second trail that we walk simultaneously is the trail externally of how we show up in the world. It's about the things that we do, how we do what we do. And for me, what's happened in this stepping up and stepping out into the world was that I realized that I couldn't deepen the work within myself. I couldn't continue to heal and make myself whole and come home without showing up in the world in a different way and really focusing my life to service and contribution to the collective, to society. So there are these two twin trails that we are both walking all the time, the trail within ourselves and the external trail. And they're both intertwined and they both inform each other. The more we deepen our, the deeper we journey within ourselves, and the more we are healed and whole and at peace, the clearer our energy is that we show up with in the world. And the more that we show up in the world and the further that we contribute and the sweeter our presence in the world is, that also complements and facilitates and catalyzes the healing within ourselves. This journey back to ourselves, back home, and back to this union of the masculine and feminine within us. So I'd like to just say a little bit about that union, because it seems that there's these words, sacred masculine, divine feminine. It's becoming a little bit more buzz, but sometimes there seems to be some confusion. So the way it works for me is that there is a sacred man and there is a sacred woman. There is the sacred masculine, the sacred feminine. And these are both gender specific. But within the hearts of every man, every sacred masculine, there is this divine alchemy, this divine dance, this divine balance of the feminine and masculine energies. And within the hearts of every woman, of every sacred feminine, she is aware of this dance also of the divine feminine and masculine. And that divine feminine and masculine is not gender specific. Sometimes it's a little less confusing if we think of it as the yin and yang, that yin-yang dance for the two complementary opposites that are both contained within each other. So that's essentially what the sacred masculine is. I mean, there are lots of layers and so on, and lots of depths and lots of different angles which we can look at the sacred masculine. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this podcast series. But for now, I just want to give you a sense of what we're talking about, so that you know what you're letting yourselves in for. Maybe that you would like to introduce sacred masculinity or these podcasts to somebody else that you love. Or it may be just that, this sounds like just the sort of thing in order to deepen and enable me to embody the sacred masculinity within myself. Because I don't know about you, but it seems pretty clear to me that we need a new kind of masculinity on this planet. In this series, I'm going to share lots of stories and anecdotes about my journey into the sacred masculine. And one of these is just to touch on briefly what happened to me at the Goddess Conference in Glastonbury during the summer of 2018. Now, I'd just come to the end of a really intense period of work that I'd been doing with my twin flame at that point. And I'd been asked to come and speak at the Goddess Conference in Glastonbury, which essentially is a celebration of the divine feminine. And something quite profound happened to me there, which I can best describe as a deep spiritual experience. It was almost as soon as I arrived, my masculine mind or brain just got taken offline, and I just found myself in this sort of altered state of consciousness. I found it really hard to sort of like navigate through sort of simple tasks and working out what I needed to do and when I needed to be in a certain place. I just had to really take little baby steps and just say, okay, Miguel, what is it that you have to do next? Because I was just in this altered state. I remember I was just feeling so emotional at the beginning of the conference, and I walked into the into the goddess temple. And I just burst into tears. It was just totally unexpected. I knew I was kind of feeling a bit odd and a bit strange, but there was no real sadness or no problems, or, everything was fine. But there was this deep release that just came up from within me. And I know that always happens, that those kind of things happen to me when I feel safe and when I feel held. And I guess that was what I experienced while I was there. I just felt like I was held in the arms of the divine feminine for the whole time that I was there, while I was speaking, while I was running workshop, while I was just, meeting people and enjoying the ceremony and the amazing experience. I just felt held. I had an encounter with another conference participant. We were up on the tour, and we were just talking, and it just felt really natural for us to connect. And as we sat on the tour and just looked out at the beauty around us, we held hands. And as we did that, this energy sort of started to pass between us. And she had this really quite powerful Kundalini awakening experience. So, those are just a couple of the beautiful things that happened while I was there. And they really seem to just take me deeper into my sacred masculine, as well as some profound healing that happened, for my feminine, for the divine feminine within me. So what happened was, when I came away from that conference, it was as if there was this new, clean. No, it wasn't a new, clean energy. It was that obstacles had been removed from within me. If you like, if you kind of visualize a river, it was like the lumps of wood and the debris in the river had been taken out, and there was this energy was flowing through me, really quite sweetly and quite powerfully, and I could feel it. And all this creativity started to arise in me, in that I just had to write. I would think of a title, or, I would just wake up first thing in the morning with this, I need to write. And I've always been a bit of a writer. I've been blogging for quite a long time, and I've written another book, apart from Bring Him Home. And but this was something different. So I'd like to share, just to give another perspective, another angle of what we're talking about with the sacred masculine, a piece that it feels as if it came through me. The words just sort of tumbled through me, out of me, onto the page. So this is a piece which I guess really is also called, What is the Sacred Masculine? What is the sacred masculine? She asked. Well, he replied, he is the phoenix risen from the flames. There may be ash on his beard and the smell of smoke in his hair, and he will feel like the sunrise in a peachy orange sky after the long, dark night. He is the one that was wounded to the core and now stands straight and strong again. He is the one that was broken and has dressed his own wounds from the battles he fought. He is the one that wandered the dusty grey shadowlands for ever and a day, but has returned to feel the warmth of the sun kiss his scarred flesh. He is the one that was lost in the dark tangles of the thorny brambles, who now lies on his back in the grassy sunlit clearing, transfixed, mesmerized by the exquisite simple beauty of the birdsong and the clouds floating by. It is he who has tamed his wild monkey mind and has become its astute and fair master. It is he who now rides on the wings of the dragon that once snarled and breathed smoke and fire to keep him from his treasure, hidden in the dark places within. It is he who falls to his knees at her feet and kisses her belly, the spiral vortex womb of creation. It is he who breathes his love into her, causing her body to shudder and shimmer in ecstasy and release. It is he who knows where to place his hands and lips and his loving gaze. It is he who knows that he was born to lead, and yet he will only lead by following her guidance. It is he who will speak his truth, even when he knows that he will not be loved for it, and he who will hold his tongue when it is time to listen tenderly with an open mind and heart. He is the one with universes and galaxies spinning inside his chest. He is the one that carries both the sun and moon in his separate hands, and when she beckons, they eclipse at his heart. He is the mirror in which you fear to look, because although in his polished silver reflection you will see your dazzling light, you will also see the shadows of the forms that you have yet to embrace and make love to. He is the one who is no longer distracted by the ephemeral trinkets of knowledge and false prophets. He is the one who looks inside with honest, courageous eyes to see what needs to be seen, and cleared with the bright light of his pure awareness and integrity. He is the one who cries tears of joy at the sound of a child laughing, and whose glowing face beams and chuckles at the feel of the puppy's tongue on his naked feet. He is the one who will hang his head just long enough to acknowledge his error fully and feel the impact of his choice before raising his head once again, ready to do what is needed to set right that which was not in alignment with truth. He is the one who is not ashamed to admit when he has been lost for a while in the midst of fear and arrogance and pride. He who embraces his vulnerability with strong, kind arms. He is the embodiment of divine twin flame alchemy, and always a work in progress. "And where will I find him?" she asked. "Be still, listen and feel," he replied. "Can you hear him? Can you feel him? For he is wooing, hunting, longing for you right now." She hung her head. "So stop seeking and waiting and do your inner work. For when you are ready, your nectar will be fragrant and sweet. And as the bumblebee finds the open flower, he will surely find you." So that was a piece that I wrote, or that was written through me. And it seemed important to add that little bit of dialogue between the man and the woman, because so often I hear women saying, where are the men? Where are these sacred masculine? Where are the divine masculine? I'm ready. I've done my work. I'm sorted. But my experience is that the external world is just really a reflection of our inner world. And so if you are a woman and you can't find a man to match you, to meet you, or a man that you feel is worthy of you, then my advice always is to look inside yourself, because there will be work to do on your own inner masculine. The man that shows up in a woman's life will be a reflection to a large extent of her own inner masculine, just the same as a woman that shows up in a man's life will be a reflection of his own divine feminine. So it's very easy, isn't it, to point the finger and say, look outside. But real change is always an inside job. We look within and we do our work, and the world will mirror that progress and that healing and that transformation in the way that experiences, people, life shows up for us. So I would like to end this podcast with this blessing which I wrote for the front of my book, Bring Him Home. May the energy of this podcast be a catalyst for the union of the divine feminine and masculine energies within the hearts of all men and women. May we have the willingness and determination to make the journey from our heads back to our hearts. May we learn to father and mother ourselves and take care of our inner child. And may we remember what it is to love ourselves, each other, all sentient beings, and this sacred earth for ourselves, our children, and the generations to come. Thank you for joining me today. I am Miguel Dean, catalyzing the twin flame union of the divine masculine and feminine energies within the hearts of men and women. I am the author of my new book, Bring Him Home, a twin flame love story, which is published by Sacred Stories and available online through booksellers worldwide, or if you like, receive a personalized and signed copy from my website, migueldean.net. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast and to join me next time, where we will explore the first principle of sacred masculinity, which is, I have a deep commitment to healing and growth. Until we meet again, be well. Aho.